And welcome back. My first guests are Chris Graziano, the Vice President and General Manager, and Bill Madden, the Director of External Affairs for SUEZ.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being my guest, and also thank you for the wonderful partnership that the town of Clarkstown has with SUEZ. We're working very closely together on a number of community initiatives and projects, and just think it's a great opportunity for you to be able to come in and talk about a couple of different things that are going on with SUEZ. And
terrific.
so why don't we just, before we get to that, just very briefly, for the benefit of our viewers, why don't you just give a little bit of an introduction for each one of you, your background, where you're from, and how long you've been with SUEZ. Chris?
Hi, I'm Chris Graziano, Vice President and General Manager of SUEZ. I've been with the company, it will be 30 years next year. I started my career in the New Rochelle office, and I spent most of the time there. I've been in this position since January of 2015 when I moved to the Rockland operation.
Bill Madden, Director of External Affairs. Been with the company for 4 years. You and I remember each other when I worked with the Journal News, where I was sports editor and managing editor for a number of years, and really having a good time with SUEZ these days.
And I have to say, Chris, as you know, you guys are really a dynamic team kind of coming together over here in Rockland, but great working relationship with the towns, not just with the town of Clarkstown. I know from our discussions at our town supervisor meetings that if there's ever an issue that comes up with any of our constituents or residents, you're just a phone call away, and you guys are very responsive to my administration. And I know, talking with the other town supervisors, we kind of share that same opinion. Not to throw harpoons at anyone else, but there's others that we have to deal with that are public utilities that are not nearly as accommodating or as collegial as SUEZ. So I want to thank you for that.
Great. Yeah, Chris and I worked together. We were actually named to our positions in almost the same exact day. Right. And the company had faced some turbulence in the previous years. Mm-hmm. And following Chris's lead, we got back to the fundamentals of delivering quality water, a reliable service, and also supporting the communities where we play a vital role. Yeah. And we've created a lot of new events, like the Forest Day, which we might talk about today, a tour of our plant, which allows people to see how we work, and a wide variety of other sponsorships. And I mean, we now, when I first joined the company, I think we were on 3 community boards. The management team at SUEZ are on 15 community boards, either advisory boards or nonprofit boards. So we're embedded in the community where we serve, and by the way, that's a core value for the company all across North America.
No, it's very, very, very accurate description, and I can tell you, I marvel going to all the different events that I'll go to, and I see the connection with SUEZ, with who's involved on what board, who's involved with what not-for-profit, and how you guys really kind of give back through your foundation and through volunteer service hours. So it's very, very impressive. But why don't we kind of move on actually with a couple of different topics? So certainly, Bill and Chris, we just went through the rate case, and that's been finalized and settled, and as we're kind of moving forward with that now, with the rate case. So why don't we kind of talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I'll give you the broad key details, and Chris will elaborate on a lot of the main initiatives as part of the rate filing. We filed our rate case on March 4th to the New York State Public Service Commission. As part of this very robust case, we pledged to invest almost $500 million over the next 5 years in infrastructure improvements. There is about a $10.50 average increase to a customer bill pledged, but that's just the first number we're starting with. This is an 11th month process. Chris and I, this particular rate case applied to all of our companies in the region. We serve 300,000 people in Rockland, 200,000 people in Westchester, and I think there's about a total of about 25 municipalities. Well, because this case was so important and complex, we made the commitment to meet with every single elected official before it was announced publicly, including our meeting with you. And we wanted to let them know all the things that were involved with this. And so this will be an 11-month process. The game clock started on March 4th. It will give all of our stakeholders an opportunity to be involved through public hearings and public interrogatories and other ways of participating. So it's a very, very process where we're engaged with our customers. So that's really the overview. Whatever is approved in the end will go in effect February 1 of 2020.
Right. And as you know, for full disclosure, and as our residents will know, the 5 towns will be working together with our own representation, so that we'll be represented at the Public Service Commission as well, as the process goes back and forth. So, you know, and I anticipate that there'll be a good outcome for everybody. I mean, obviously, there's a cost of doing business. You know, things always go up, and the elected officials will continue to advocate for the residents, and there'll be a dialogue back and forth. And I don't anticipate that this process will become adversarial, but I do think that in the end there'll probably be an arrangement that'll be worked out at the end of the 11 months that will benefit all parties.
Okay.
So you mentioned infrastructure, so why don't we kind of pivot to that? You know, that's a significant dollar value that you're pledging to infrastructure. Why don't you, Chris, talk a little bit about some of your infrastructure plans and upgrades?
Yeah, thank you, George. Yeah, just to give you a clarification, you did mention before that we're just finalized the last rate case, and this is an 11-month process. So I just want to let everybody know that rate case expires as of February 2020.
Yeah, no.
So that's why this one goes into starts.
Agreed. Finalizing that one, and what I meant was, I meant to say
Correct.
Finalizing your submission on the new one.
So, part of this case, you know, we've committed to invest about close to $500 million, $440 million worth of investment in our system and infrastructure. Some of these are some very large projects. One of them will be an upgrade to our Lake to Forest reservoir and pump station that we're proposing. As far as the new regulations are coming out, to stay ahead of the regulations and to keep up with taste and odor issues that have been experienced in the past, and some algae regulations, we're going to look to add an ozone and a powder-activated carbon treatment train to the reservoir. The reservoir hasn't been significantly, or the plant, been significantly upgraded since about the mid-2000s. So doing this upgrade will allow us to go into the future and treat the water and prevent those issues from happening. And on top of that, we're also looking to continue our underground infrastructure replacement program, which is replacing our pipes underground. We are committed to start, as of 2020, to replace 1% of all of our underground infrastructure, and in Rockland alone, that's about 11 miles of pipe a year, which is a very huge undertaking. So that's going to be another very large part of our infrastructure program.
And what's the time frame for that full investment? How many years?
That's our plan for over the next 5 years.
5 years.
Ramping up that infrastructure, replacing plant infrastructure, and you know, that's kind of where we're trying to go with all this.
Right. One of the other things, just as an aside, you know, maybe we could talk a little bit, just briefly, as part of the infrastructure upgrades. The working relationship between the local municipalities and SUEZ as it relates to you know, when there's a water main break, or frankly, just on what mains are going to be replaced, what pipes are going to be upgraded, because I don't think people realize how complicated that is, and that working relationship. Because, you know, folks will call, you know, my office all the time and be like, when's my road getting paved? And oftentimes there'll be conversations and discussions back and forth. We have to line up your capital plan, Orange and Rockland's capital plan, sometimes Verizon, you know, capital plan if they have underground, you know, anything that's underground, so that whatever upgrades have to take place need to take place. So maybe you guys could kind of talk a little bit from your perspective how that's working, the connection between the municipalities and how you determine what mains have to be replaced.
I think the communication between the municipalities and our company has gone very well over the last 3 or 4 years, and we kind of use like a scoring system to determine which we replace and on a list, and it's a very complicated scoring system. But part of that whole system of where we're going to go, we may take the top 10, and number 10 may become number 1, depending on a road replacement project that a municipality might be doing. So we may move that one up to kind of coordinate that with the municipalities, because that's what we're always looking to do. We don't want to have anybody have a freshly paved road, and then we come in 6 months later and rip up that freshly paved road. That's no good for any of our customers, or residents, or anybody involved. So that communication is really key between the municipality and our company.
No, great, agreed. And it works really, really well because, as you said, you guys will have to move things on your capital plan, and we'll kind of adjust our roads as well. You know, it wasn't with you guys, but we actually had a situation when I first became supervisor with Orange and Rockland where they were doing some work that took longer than was expected, and we had South Mountain Road that was pretty much a minefield for 2 years. You know, so thankfully we haven't had that issue with SUEZ. You guys are pretty responsive, and then the key is, and people need to know this, once a road is repaved by the town, there's a moratorium, except for like an emergency water main break where you can't help, where really can't have any work done on that roadway for a number of years because it's a brand new, freshly paved road. So the communication, I think the coordination between the town and you guys has been great in terms of that. Let's talk about your conservation program. You've got an exceptional conservation program. I think it's been bearing fruit. It's been very successful for a lot of our residents, not just saving our resources, and I think you've got some pretty impressive numbers. Maybe you guys could speak about
Sure.
that.
I mean, as part of the proposal, we proposed to expand it to all of our properties, or all of our service territories in New York, which includes Westchester. But as you know, and Clarkstown has been a great partner of ours in helping to promote this program that was launched June 21st, 2017. And it's really innovative, where, you know, my daughter at home always says, you know, I never heard of a car dealership that wants to sell less cars. And in our case, we just think it's the right thing to do. Water is a vital resource. And that's why our company is so important to the quality of life of Rockland, is that, you know, one of the reasons why people want to live here is because we have a reliable quality water service, and you'll be surprised how spoiled we are when you go to other parts of the country. But yeah, so our rebate program, again, really innovative, offers substantial cash rebates. It's a cash card, actually, for water efficient appliances, specifically toilets, washing machines and shower heads, and even now smart irrigation controllers for outdoor sprinkler systems. And we've, to date, customers have redeemed more than 3,000 rebates, which in our world, where we were never really been in a sales or retail market, we're quite proud of those numbers. You know, our promotional vehicles trying to persuade people to pursue these rebates are populated now in almost every Rockland communication channel, free and paid. So we're pushing this program as hard as we can.
So typically for our viewers, we put this out on this channel repeatedly.
Yes.
But roughly, you know, ballpark, if someone replaces their, you know, an older toilet in their house with a more efficient one that is going to use considerably less water, what type of rebate would they receive?
Sure,
on that?
I can cover that. So the rebates we offer now are $100 on a washing machine, $100 on a toilet, and $25 on a shower head. And just for a typical replace a toilet situation, a toilet's going to cost $150, and then another $150 to install. So if it's a total of a $250 price tag, you're going to get a $100 rebate to do that, which I think, you know, when I think of a rebate, I think of, you know, $12.50 and, you know, get the receipt and mail it in. Sometimes it's $3.50. This is a $100 rebate, and it doesn't grow on trees, at least not in my backyard. So, you know, we're pleased with the number. We're not hitting the target that we wanted, but it was an ambitious target. But that's why in our new plan we're trying to.
And I can tell you, which I think is great, the town actually applied for some of these rebates, which we've done over $10 million worth of infrastructure upgrades alone on our parks, which included renovations of the bathhouses and total replacement of the bathhouse at Lake Nanuet, and in both bathhouses, the internal renovations at Jamon's Pool. And we received some sizable rebates, you know, coming back, you know, to the town for, you know, a lot of those fixtures that we're able to put in, the shower heads, the toilets, and what have you, which just, you know, every little bit helps, and it wasn't money that was actually budgeted for that we were able to kind of take down off of our capital project price, and certainly very, very helpful.
And your viewers and your constituents can visit SUEZconserve.com for all the information. You can actually buy the appliance online, or you can go to a store and, like the old days, mail in the receipt with an application. Another important component of this is our partnership with Orange and Rockland, which, I'm relatively new to the industry, and when I came here, I thought utilities work together. And there's not that there's any sort of rivalry or animosity between them. It's just part of the culture. They don't. And in fact, our regulator has applauded this program. One of the reasons why they've applauded is because we are like attached at the hip with O&R. They started their own conservation program a year and a half before us, and we met with them and we learned a lot of the lessons that they learned in the first 18 months. We were able to apply and come out of the gate so much better. The easiest thing was we saved $100,000 on developing our own transactional website. We just now use O&Rs. So when you're on SUEZconserve.com and you want to do a transaction, you actually get sent to an O&R page where they just added our water products onto their ORU.com, ORUstore.com website. So that has worked out to be a really good partnership.
Well, that's great. That's really great to hear. So we're kind of coming to the end, but congratulations are in order. On the Pinnacle Awards. Let's talk about that.
Okay, sure. So on the Pinnacle Award, we are really excited. We're winning the Corporate Citizenship Award, and back to what we said earlier. We believe that we have to be part of the community that we serve in, and that is the ultimate award in Rockland County. The RBA Pinnacles are the top business awards. In our nomination, we were nominated for Lake to Forest Day and Tour Day, and the grants that we've given out. And in the 4 years that I've been here, we've given almost more than $250,000, approaching $500,000 of grants, including a $150,000 grant to start the SUEZ Institute, a week-long program for high school students at the college. So it's not just, as I mentioned, not just the money that we contribute, but the people who are involved with boards, and what we also think is that the conservation program, we think is as we said before, is a symbol of us trying to be a part of the community and doing it in a generous way.
Yeah. No, it's actually well deserved. The Rockland Business Association is the preeminent business association in our area. We have chambers of commerce and other business groups, but the RBA is the preeminent one for Rockland County. Al Samuels has been involved with them for very many years. Sits on the governor's board for the economic development awards, and so the Pinnacle Awards is their highest award. So it's really kudos to you for that award, and I think it just recognizes what we've heard here today through this interview, that SUEZ is out in the community as a real partner, which is really significant. We also have Lake to Forest Day coming up. Let's maybe talk just very briefly about that. It's a little sore point for me because we had the Supervisors Cup there, and I'm kind of going in the wrong direction. I think my first year I came in second, and last year we came in, my second year we came in third, and last year I think we came in next to last. So kind of going backwards. We've got to kind of move it the other way. But maybe talk a little bit about Lake to Forest.
I don't know, Chris, do you want to handle that? Or?
Yeah, Lake to Forest Day is a great day for us at SUEZ and for the customers we serve. Opening up our reservoir to recreational use is a really important thing to us, to kind of get the community out and understand and look at the reservoir, but also understanding that it's providing the drinking water, a third of the drinking water for the entire county as well. So protecting that resource as drinking water, but allowing the residents of Rockland County to use that as a resource is kind of really important to us. And I think we're every year, between the fishing derby for the Boy Scouts, between the kayakers and the canoers, the event's growing year on year, and we're getting more and more participation. I couldn't be happier about that, and this is something I really enjoy doing with the residents of Rockland.
And as part of that, you also have this wonderfully friendly event where two-person kayaks, where the 5 town supervisors are invited to race, and that's for the viewers who aren't aware of it. That's That's a fun day. I've raced with my son the last couple of years, who's a great rower, and he tells me, "Dad, if you get out of the kayak, I'll win it for you." But of course, I race against the other town supervisors, and I will tell you that one of the years, which was very humorous to me, Supervisor Phillips from Haverstraw actually wasn't able to race. He had some family commitments, so we had two guys from the Haverstraw Highway Department racing. One of the guys actually got in the kayak, and as he was kind of going out to kayak, he told us he had never kayaked before, and he didn't know how to swim.
Right.
So I'm glad you guys had good insurance. You didn't need it that day, but it's a great fun day, and that actually takes place on Saturday, June 29th, for folks that will be interested. You know, the opportunity to pre-register. There's a fishing derby involving the Boy Scouts. You have ample opportunity to kind of get around Lake the Forest, to see some of the sights, and it's just one of the ways in which you're opening it up, and then of course the ability to kayak as well, and you're involved with Riverkeeper from Hackensack, correct?
Right, the Hackensack Riverkeeper and the Keep Rockland Beautiful are beneficiaries of the event. Right. And I do want to credit Mike Cohen from the New City Little League. They let us use their New City Little League parking lot, which is adjacent to our reservoir, and that has allowed this whole event to happen. Right. I mean, every year we have more and more people, and we keep finding ways to park cars up in that Little League field, and Mike's been tremendous. I mean, and that's really helped us make that event a possibility.
And we'd like to thank you as well, and the town of Clarkstown, because this kind of really shows the partnership that we're trying to do with our municipalities, and being the reservoirs in Clarkstown, and the Clarkstown police helping us out, and manning the roadways, and the town participating. We really want to thank you for that as well.
You know, Lake the Forest is just such a beautiful, wonderful resource here. Not just the Lake the Forest Day, but having folks come in and be able to see the operations at the dam and the tour there, and then, of course, you know, we were just so thrilled to be able to have the supervisors walk that we moved from Rockland Lake. We've been doing it at Rockland Lake for about 5 years. We moved it over to Lake the Forest, and I think it was very popular. I think it was very well attended. We had a number of folks that came, and they were able to do 2 different versions of a hike along Lake the Forest and into areas that they really wouldn't be able to get in to see, you know, normally. And it's just another way in which we're providing access. And then, of course, you know, just the beautiful resources around the lake and the wildlife. I mean, there's bald eagles that nest there. You know, I have a photo up in my office, and maybe we'll even show it on the show now, just so it's an eagle that's actually nesting in Lake the Forest, you know, in the trees off of Lake the Forest. There's hawks and all types of other wildlife, and we're very sensitive to that. We know it's a great natural resource for Rockland County, in particular for the folks in Clarkstown, and we appreciate the stewardship and the partnership that we've undertaken together on that. So that's about all the time we have. I want to thank both of you for your leadership, for your attention to the environment, and your partnership with the town of Clarkstown, because when folks think about a public utility, they don't often think sometimes positively, but I can tell you that you guys are really great community partners, not just to my administration, but to the other local governments here within Rockland County.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So stay tuned. We'll have our next guest coming on up.